staying on top of this breaking news tonight. Within the past 45 minutes, Atlanta rapper Gunna walked out of the Fulton County Jail. The rapper, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, entered a negotiated guilty plea, what's known as an Alford plea, allowing him to also maintain his innocence. Gunna was in jail on racketeering and conspiracy charges, part of a large gang indictment that includes rapper Young Thug and other alleged members of YSL or Young Slime Life gang. And also today, alleged YSL co-founder Walter Murphy negotiated a guilty plea in the RICO indictment ahead of the trial scheduled to start next month. New at 6, Channel 2's Mark Winnie is live at the Fulton County Jail with what all of this means today. Mark.
Yeah, some big stuff said in court today. We got wind that something was going on in the YSL case, hustled down to the courthouse, got there in time. I shot the hearing on my iPhone. It is a major development in a major case.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
That Sergio Kitchens, perhaps better known as music star Gunna, was gonna get out of jail soon seemed apparent early in the hearing as Fulton County Deputy District Attorney Adrian Love went through the sentence that would be recommended.
5 years to serve 1, commuted to time served, balance suspended. And the parties agree that upon completion of the special conditions that I will enumerate, the suspended sentence will terminate by consent order.
The Fulton County District Attorney's Office says Gunna pled guilty to the single count he faced in a sprawling indictment focused on the alleged criminal street gang YSL against him and more than 24 others. Conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. The guilty plea entered as what's called an Alford plea, where a defendant doesn't admit he committed the crime but acknowledges it's in his best interest to plead guilty.
If called by any party in this case, you will testify truthfully, but reserve any Fifth Amendment rights or privileges against self-incrimination. You agree to perform 500 hours of community service, a substantial portion of which will require that you speak to young men and women about the hazards and immortality of gangs and gang violence, and the decay that it causes our communities.
A Sergio Kitchens press statement suggests in the case of his Alford plea, he's, quote, maintaining my innocence toward the same charge, unquote. It says, while I've agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way. In court, some startling statements.
Please state after each statement whether or not you agree or acknowledge that the statements are true, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
A YSL indictment includes Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug. His attorney, Brian Steele, has said,
Mr. Williams committed no crime.
Judge Ural Glanville.
I find that your plea is freely and voluntarily entered. I find no factual basis for your plea, and I'm going to accept your plea as tendered and as negotiated.
Now, Jacoby Hudson, defense attorney for YSL case defendant Walter Murphy, confirms that late Tuesday, Murphy pled guilty to a racketeering conspiracy count and has been released from the Fulton County Jail already. Hudson says Murphy will not testify about the conduct of any other individual defendants. Hudson indicated how Murphy changed his life after he got out of prison was a major factor in the deal. Reporting live outside the Fulton County Jail, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
Today is Thursday, December 15th, the year is 2022. Ain't nothing like getting out of jail right before the Christmas holidays. That can be just walking out them from behind them bars is the best Christmas gift you could ever get. You can't even put a dollar amount on what it's like to walk out from behind them bars and get out of jail before the holidays, or any day for that matter. Shit, I don't know about y'all, but if you ever been in jail before, you know what it's like when I'm free, you walk out of there, you say it's a whole, it's like, when Gunna was held in the Fulton County jail, well, I'm not sure if he was at Fulton County jail, they held him someplace else, but they had them in a lockdown, and they could not be in the general population. They were locked into a cell by themselves. Whew, that had to be torturous for months. So Gunna took a plea. I kind of figured that. I don't blame him either. I just pray and I hope that he's able to stay away from drugs. They're going to be drug testing him and out them clubs and say, because, if y'all remember, T.I. went through something very similar to this. He had a federal charge and he was out on parole or probation. He violated it once or twice. I can't remember. He ended up going back to jail. Probation, parole can be difficult for people who are still out there in the streets drinking and partying. And, sometimes you got to put that shit to the side. I hope Gunna appreciates the leniency he received in this. I'm serious. I hope that man understands that plea they allowed him to do and moves forward in his life and puts this shit behind him. It ain't over with either, like they said. He may still have to testify against Slim Thug. I know Gunna released a statement saying he ain't said nothing, he ain't found on nothing, but if you listen to that judge in that courtroom, she said something completely separate than the statement, completely different than the statement that Gunna made. But, the black folks got the no snitching thing. Okay, dude, that nigga, that, trust me, y'all. He has agreed to something on those serious charges that they were facing, that he was facing, Slim Thug and Gunna. Slim Thug's still in jail. I don't think he's getting out no time soon. And he's going to be going to trial. When you're about that life, like they were, and this is what I don't understand about these rappers and professional football players and the athletes, when you start making a certain amount of money, it might be best to make some changes in your lifestyle. Changes around who you deal with, where you go, the people you hang with, your associates, because it can all backfire and you end up behind bars. And, Gunna pretends like he wants to act all innocent. I didn't know this was going on, but that judge said, did you know this was going on? And Gunna had to say, yeah, I knew. So, okay. But I wouldn't wish jail on anybody. But these guys have got to start making wiser decisions. You got to grow up and mature. These black guys, these rappers, these athletes, they just do stupid stuff. And they have the whole wide world in their hand and they just destroy it because of foolishness. Just nigga shit. And just stupidity. I always think about that football player who drove that Corvette over drunk and driving and killed somebody, football player out of Montgomery, Alabama, who had a car wreck, I think it was in Vegas or something, and he killed this individual in the car and destroyed his football career. He had a multi-million-dollar contract. It's like, what, y'all niggas ain't never heard of Uber? Lyft? Limo? Taxi? Drive? Cab? You got money. For that type of wealth, you don't have to drink and drive. But Gunna is free. He going home, get the best Christmas gift ever. And I know that nigga went straight to Magic City. And I was some titties and pussy. He's like, ooh, I haven't seen all them niggas in the jailhouse. He probably was just like, okay, let me go get some women. But even, he's got to report. He's got to report to his parole officer and probation officer and all that stuff. He's got some stuff he needs to do. I hope he's able to fulfill those obligations. He's going to be right behind bars. I had another friend of mine many years ago, a really good friend of mine, and he had did something very heinous, a really bad crime, and somebody had died, and they charged him with manslaughter. So I can't remember all the details of it, but he had a very light sentence. He had to report to a halfway house for a certain amount of time, and then I think for like a year or something. They were very lenient. He could continue to work. He was still going to work. They allowed. So basically, although he was in custody, he was allowed out of the halfway house, and able to go to work and stuff. So one day he showed up at the halfway house with liquor on their breath. They said, "Have you been drinking?" He's like, "Yeah, I had a drink." That was a wrap. Because he wasn't supposed to be drinking. They violated all that shit. He went to prison. I remember thinking, wow, what was he? They said he went someplace with some friends, had something to drink, and then went on back, and they still had the liquor on his breath. He admitted he had been drinking. And they violated that bullshit. I think he ended up doing about 2 or 3 years in jail prison after that. Because first off, he was on it was vehicle manslaughter, I believe it was, or something. He ended up going to service some time because of that foolishness. So Gunna better be very careful. They're not playing. They say sometimes, I've heard probation, I know for a fact, probation is way harder than parole because the probation officers don't play. The parole and probation, all of it is just complicated. You don't want to be on paper. Now, one thing they did say, once he completes community service and pay his fines or whatever else they said, it's over with. He better hurry up and get that shit over with. And quick. He better start them hours like, today. I think it was like $500 or $5,000. I don't know what it was. I had to go back and read the sentencing thing. I read it. But he better get that over with and get off that paper. And fast. But first, they got to get through the trial. And his testimony to the trial. Well, maybe Slim Thug will take a plea too. Who knows? But I do know there was some murders involved in that mess. They're saying that people got killed. And a whole bunch of other stuff. So, I think Slim Thug might be a rap for his ass. Am I saying it right? Is it Slim Thug? It might be a rap for his ass. Yeah, I know for a fact. It might be a rap for him. It might be, no, it's not Slim Thug. I'm saying somebody else. Young Thug. Ooh, sorry, y'all know I'm old. I don't know these damn people. Y'all forgive me. It's somebody else. Ooh, Lord, it was Young Thug. Is it Young Thug? I don't know. Is that who it is? Yeah, it's Young Thug. Yeah, that's his ass. Atlanta rapper Gunna released after pleading guilty to RICO charge. Now they say Young Thug arrives in court in person for motions hearing. So he had court today. Young Thug was back in court today ahead of the expected trial of his attorney. So he was in court today. I guess he ain't taking a plea. I guess he said, fuck that shit. So he was actually in court today. They working on this shit. Gunna released from jail after pleading guilty in YSL RICO case. Gunna got a chance now to get his life together. I hope, like I said, Atlanta rapper Gunna has been released from jail after he pleaded guilty to a racketeering conspiracy charge in a sweeping gang indictment against him. Rapper Young Thug and several other alleged members of the Young Slime Life criminal street gang. His real name, Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, faced the judge. The rapper entered a negotiated plea known as an Alfred plea, in which a defendant doesn't admit he committed the crime, but acknowledges that it might be in his best interest to plead guilty. Guilty! I gotta go home. That's right. The charge Gunna faced was one count of conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corruption Act. Gunna was sentenced to 5 years with 1 to serve. The 1 year sentence was commuted to time served. He's already been here for about 6 or 7 months. The 4-year remaining balance of this sentence has been suspended and will be subject to special conditions, including 500 hours of community service. Now, after the sentence came down, the rapper released a statement saying that this statement is completely contradicting what took place in that courtroom. While I have agreed to always be truthful, I wanted to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not corroborated, not agreed to testify or witness against any party in that case, and absolutely no intention to be involved in the trial process anyway. But that's not what took place in that courtroom video. Go play it again and listen. So what he said is completely contradicting what happened in that courtroom. So don't pay no attention to this statement he made to the media. Pay attention to what happened in that courtroom in front of that judge and district attorney. That's what matters. But and listen, If I had to turn my mama in to get out of prison for facing RICO charges, Mama, my mother did it. Sorry, Mama. You be all right. I come visit. I put some money in your books. Yo, who wants to be sitting up in prison behind? I don't want to be in prison for decades for some bullshit. Now, some of you niggas are no limit soldiers. I ain't don't tell nothing. Mama did it. Please. I want to go free. Free me now. And first off, I ain't getting involved with no bullshit. If I have to be threatened to be locked up, fuck that shit. You know, I'm like, yo, common sense got to kick in at some point for some of these young black men. Y'all got all this money and wealth and fame. Y'all out here doing stupid shit like this. Really? Y'all still involved in gangs and murders and ignorant bullshit? I've been in pack my shit and moved to a beach someplace, Beverly Hills, California, somewhere. I got away from these hood rat niggas. You can make your rap music. If you're selling music, his music don't have nothing. Their music, neither one of their music really didn't dictate what they were making money. Gunna was just on Saturday Night Live before he was arrested. I saw the performance and he was arrested. He was just on here. He was doing, well, bottom line, stay out that nigga shit and y'all stay free. These rappers and singers and dancers and entertainers, they still want to be involved in that street life. And nigga shit, leave that shit alone and go about your damn life. You know, separate yourself from these ignorant ass niggas and this bullshit. Common sense should kick in, and you got this money, wealth, and fame. So many opportunities that so many black folks don't get. And this is how y'all, it's just, no. You can take the nigga out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the nigga. Welcome to Niggerville, y'all. This ignorance. So I'm glad Gunna's out. See what happens with Young Thug, or see what happens with Young Thug with the Slim Thug. What did I say that nigga's name was? I'm old, honey. What did I say? Well, whatever it is, he in court today. They heard him rush his ass on in that damn courtroom today. They probably pressuring his ass. All right, Young Thug, you gonna plead this out or what? I'm sure there's some offers on the table. He looking at, oh Lord, they trying to give me 10 years in prison. If he takes that chance to do that jury trial and find him guilty of this shit, I hope that man, well, I don't know if he's guilty or not, I couldn't even tell you any. But the fact they're gonna play it out tells a lot. It says a whole lot that man decided this is my best bet. Because if I take this shit to trial, I'm going to end up years behind bars. I get to go free. The best Christmas gift ever. Merry Christmas, young Gunna. Gunna. Merry Christmas, your freedom. I take it any damn day. It's better than being locked up behind bars with them ignorant ass heathens behind them jail cells. I know that was a shock to his system seeing that. But you know, some people just determined they want to spend the rest of their life behind bars. Not me. That ain't on my agenda, honey. I'm sitting here making YouTube videos, drinking a cup of coffee. Maybe make some breakfast and go my ass to the gym. The rain stopped, thank goodness. It's drying up. The sun is actually out. It's actually nice outside. And I went looking for a Christmas tree yesterday. I didn't see nothing I like. I'm gonna go back out again today and look. I don't know why I waited so long for this tree, but this whole roof repair in this damn house kind of slowed things down for me about a week. So they were doing all that shit and I couldn't get out of here. They were fixing it. And so that kind of slowed things down. I'm glad it's fixed now. It was a couple $1,000 almost. That was my Christmas gift to myself, to fix the leaking roof. Well, I mean, Merry Christmas. I'd rather deal with having a leaky roof problem than facing RICO charges in Fulton County or wherever else. I'll deal with this shit. The minor problem over here, minor fix is done. It costs a little bit of money. I paid it. It's over with. It's around the roof now. I gotta get somebody to paint. And I need to call somebody over to paint this mess. I was thinking about painting this room a color, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that just yet. I don't know. I'm gonna do that later on. I can't deal with all these damn issues, these damn houses. There's minor issues though. It could be much worse. Anyway, let me conclude this video because I'm ready to get out of my hungry. I gotta give me something to eat. Today is Thursday, December the 15th. The year is 2022, and I'm out of here and enjoy the rest of this beautiful Thursday.